This is Group Ragnar Frisch presenting the week's news. Before we move on the wake of the pandemic all over the world, we request you to follow the three simple steps: wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and obey the COVID protocols. Now, the headlines. Country celebrated Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the 75th Independence Day from the British rule. Susmita Dev resigns from Congress, joins TMC. Taliban captures major cities in Afghanistan. Chaos in Kabul airport as tens and thousands of people tried to flee from Afghanistan. Wildfire spread in Algeria, Turkey, and Greece. India's fuel demand continues to pick up. Diesel sells 8% less than pre-COVID level. E-commerce market in India to touch $40 billion in value by 2030. Men's and women's hockey teams arrive in Odisha. Sponsor state facilitates them. Messi joins PSG after quitting from Barcelona. Now the news in detail.
Taliban captures major cities in Afghanistan. The Taliban recently seized the country's second largest city, Kandahar, and now thousands who fled their hometown for safety in Kabul lives in fear as the Taliban close in on the capital. With little access to food or safety, a heartbreaking humanitarian crisis continues to take place. The Taliban and Afghan government officials are in negotiation for a peaceful transition of power after fighters enriched the capital Kabul. But already, there are reports that militants are seeking to reimpose the fundamentalism that defined their earlier rule. The people of Afghanistan across the world are likely to feel betrayed both by Afghan leaders and the United Nations states with its Western allies. It is worth noting that foreign troops have withdrawn without a peaceful agreement to stop the fighting. There were scenes of panic at Kabul International Airport as tens of thousands of people tried to flee from Afghanistan in last desperate effort to escape in Taliban. Taliban now controls all key cities in Afghanistan except Kabul as they take over Jalalabad. Wildfire spreads in Algeria, Turkey, and Greece. Forest fires have set large part of Algeria, Turkey, and Greece aflame over the past weeks, and a European Union atmosphere monitor said that Mediterranean has become a wildfire hotspot. Hundreds unfortunately lost their lives or were burned due to the ongoing flames. From Turkey to Greece to Algeria, there have been consistent wildfires that devastated the population of these countries. There are consistent reports by the United Nations on how climate changes is contributing to these wildfires. Major earthquake hits Haiti. A major earthquake with a 7.2 magnitude recently hit the island of Haiti. This country has endured so much political turbulence, foreign meddling, a humanitarian crisis, and now this devastating earthquake, which has left more than 300 people dead with many missing and displaced. Rescuers in Haiti are desperately searching for survivors after a powerful earthquake struck the nation, killing at least 304 people and injuring more than 1,800. The 7.2 magnitude quake hit the west of the country on Saturday, toppling many buildings. The Prime Minister declared a month-long state of emergency. Haiti, the poorest country in the America, is still recovering from a devastating 2010 earthquake that killed about 2 lakh people. Lebanon struck by power out. Lebanon is currently facing a devastating financial and economical collapse. Lebanon's two biggest power stations, which together provide about 40% of the country's electricity, shut down on Friday. Lebanon is experiencing one of the world's worst economic crises since the 1850s, says the World Bank. Medicine and fuel shortage are widespread. On Wednesday, the central bank said it would stop subsidizing fuel cost, which may use for private generators. At least 78% of Lebanon's population is now living below the poverty line as the country endures economic collapse. Currency have lost 90% of its value since 2019. United Nations says 77% of household doesn't have enough money to buy food. Electricity cuts up to 20 hours per day. Flash flood have caused extensive damage in Turkey's Black Sea coast. province of Kastamonu. The epicenter of the damage is Bosgard village where cleanup and relief efforts are underway with volunteers working from all over the country to help. In the northern Turkish town of Bozkurt, emergency workers are trying to find victims left under the rubble. Floodwaters are now receding, leaving behind a mixture of mud. In just a few hours, 1 month of average rainfall soaked the area, resulting in flash flood and mudslides. Homes, businesses, and roads were destroyed. It's hard to respond to multiple flood and wildfires. On the Black Sea region, workers are trying to restore electricity, water, and gas services. This natural disaster is just the latest to hit Turkey this year. Israel continues to demolish Palestinian homes. Dozens of Palestinians who live in the Bedouin community Ras Al Tain in the Jordan Valley were caught by surprise when Israeli forces raided the area. They are forced to home demolish home demolitions also continued to take place throughout East Jerusalem. The Israeli court forced the family to demolish their own home to avoid paying expensive penalties to have Israeli occupations forced demolish their home. Israeli policy of demolishing Palestinian homes in the occupied territories is illegal under international law, but this is the Palestinian life under Israel occupation. Iran is grappling with its most severe surge of the coronavirus to date. The country reported the highest number of new infections and deaths on Sunday than any other single day since the pandemic began. Meanwhile, ceremonies to mark the Islamic holy month of Muharram have begun despite record breaking COVID deaths.
Rupee falls 3 paisa to 74.27 against US dollars in early trade. The Indian rupee declines 3 paisa to 74.27 against the US dollars in opening trade on August 17, tracking the firm American currency. At the interbank foreign exchange, the rupee opened at 74.23 against the dollar. The fell further to 74.27, registering a fall of 3 paisa over its previous close amid muted domestic equities. The forex market was closed on August 16 on account of Parsi New Year. Meanwhile, the dollar index, which gauges a greenback's strength against the basket of six currencies, was trading up 0.09% at 92.70. Global oil benchmark Brent crude futures rose 0.03% to $69.53 per barrel. On the domestic equity market front, BSE Sensex was trading 1.69 points higher at 55,584.27, while the border NSE 50 inches 0.85 points or 0.01% higher to 16,563.90 rupees. Meanwhile, foreign institution investors were net sellers in the capital market on Mondays as they offload shares worth rupees 1,082.32 crore as per exchange data. India's fuel demand continues to pick up, diesel sales 8% less than pre-COVID level. India's fuel demand curve continues to go up in August after diesel sales rose on easing of COVID restriction, while petrol sales surpassed pre-COVID levels, diesel is still 8% short. The figure is an improvement as compared with the last month where diesel consumption was 11% less than pre-COVID levels. State-owned fuel retailers sold 0.98 million tons of petrol in the first half of August, 3.7% higher than pre-COVID petrol sales in August 1 to 15, 2019. Sales of diesel rose 18.5% over the previous year during August 1 to 15, but was down 7.9% from August 2019. Gold jumps to rupees 222 and silver gains rupees 100. Gold in the national capital on Friday jumped to rupees 222 to rupees 45,586 per 10 grams amid a recovery in international precious metal prices and rupee depreciation according to HDFC Securities. In the previous trade, the precious metal had closed at 45,364 per 10 grams. Silver also gained rupees 100 to 61,045 rupees per kilogram from 60,945 rupees per kilogram in the previous trade. In Indian rupee, declined 3 paisa to 74.28 gained the US dollars in opening trade on Friday. In the international market, gold was trading with gains at $1,755 per ounce and silver was flat at $23.30 per ounce. COVID-19 vaccine, $11 billion global market opportunity for India. India's pharmaceutical sector is looking at an opportunity to the tune of $10 to $11 billion in the form of COVID-19 vaccine supply in the both domestic and export market in the next 3 years, rating agency CARE Rating has said in the report. However, the Indian vaccine makers are unlikely to get the premium pricing enjoyed the US-based multinational companies, which is anywhere between $15 and $25 per dose, and their average realization could remain anywhere between $3.25 and $3.50 per dose. According to CARE Rating, the majority of domestic demand is expected to be fulfilled by March 2022. E-commerce market in India to touch $40 billion in value by 2030. The value of e-commerce market in India is expected to touch $40 billion by 2030 as a sharp increase in internet users result in more people choosing to shop online. The e-commerce market is expected to reach $20 billion by 2026, up from $4 billion in 2019. According to the report titled The E-commerce, the next big leap in India's retail market due to the increased digital footprint in Tier 3 and 4 areas and along rural India, the need and attitude of the consumer is changing towards online buying and the present a massive opportunity. Finance Minister accuses TN of double speak over fuel taxes. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharam on Monday took on the DMK administration in Tamil Nadu for reducing state levies on petroleum products by Rs 3 a litre after an earlier hike of rupees 7 a litre, and accuses it of being party to the UPA's trickery of lowering fuel prices by issuing oil bonds. Considering that consumers were justified in wishing for lower fuel prices, Ms. Sitharaman, however, didn't signal any imminent relief from the center of the excise duties and says it leaves stressing that fuel prices are a difficult issue and the petroleum ministry is seized of the matter. It need not always be the case that the center should cut and then states will follow. A taxpayer is only looking at the price and wants it to come down, arguing that states gained more than the center from higher fuel prices as they charged ad valorem taxes while the center's taxes were fixed. Ms. Sitharaman alluded to the Tamil Nadu budget announcement to cut state taxes on fuel. It is very interesting. The taxes were hiked by rupees 7 a litre and now brought down by rupees 3. The present dispensation of Tamil Nadu was also in power when oil bonds worth rupees 1.44 lakh crore were issued by the UPA to show reduced oil prices in 2013. Who is paying for it? Ms. Sitharaman also referred to the white paper issued by the new Tamil Nadu administration, which indicates the state has about rupees 5 lakh crore of debt to contend with. IMF cuts India's GDP growth forecast to 9.5% for FY22. The International Monetary Fund on Tuesday cut its economic growth forecast for India to 9.5% for the fiscal year to March 31, 2022, as the onset of the severe second COVID-19 wave cut into recovery momentum. This forecast for 2021-22 is lower than the 12.5% growth in GDP that IMF had projected in April before the second wave took a grip. For 2022-23, IMF expects economic growth of 8.5%, larger than the 6.9% it had projected in April. Growth prospects in India have been downgraded following the severe second COVID wave during March to May and expected slow recovery in confidence from that setback. Indian economy is gradually recovering from a deep contraction in the fiscal year ended March 31, 2021 and a subsequent severe second wave of COVID-19. IMF joined a host of global and domestic agencies which have cut India's growth estimates for the current fiscal. Last month, S&P Global Rating projected a 9.5% GDP growth in the current fiscal and 7.8% in the 2022-23, while World Bank sees GDP growth at 8.3% from April 2021 to March 2022. The Asian Development Bank last week downgraded India's economic growth forecast to 10% from 11% estimated in April.
The men's team won a bronze 41 years after it won a medal in the Moscow Olympics, while the women's hockey team reached the semi-final for the first time. The Odisha government signed a 100 crore deal with Hockey India in 2018 to sponsor both the teams for the next 5 years. The men's and women's hockey team of India that put up a sterling performance at the recent Tokyo Olympics landed in Bhubaneswar on Tuesday to a grand felicitation by Odisha government. On Monday, PM Narendra Modi had hosted the teams along with other Olympians at his official residence. After landing at Bhubaneswar airport, the hockey teams were driven to a hotel in the state capital where they will stay for 2 days and felicitated. Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik is likely to announce some cash prize for each of them during a felicitation ceremony in Kalinga Stadium, said officials. In Puri, sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik installed a sand art on the beach, welcoming the teams to Odisha. Last week, CM Patnaik felicitated 4 men and women hockey players of the state and gave them cash awards. He gave checks of rupees 2.5 crore each to Indian men's hockey team vice captain Birendra Lakra and defender Amit Rohidas and 50 lakh each to Deep Grace Ika and Namita Top of women's team. Patnaik also handed Lakra and Rohidas offer letters for appointment as Deputy Superintendent of Police in the State Police Department. Odisha has hosted major hockey tournaments in the last few years, including World Cup in 2018, Champions Trophy in 2014 and Hockey World League Final in 2017. It would host the 2023 Men's Hockey World Cup in Bhubaneswar and Rourkela, where country's biggest hockey stadium with a seating capacity of 20,000 is being built. On being asked to reflect upon the legacy Mulla has left behind, Nagelsmann said that he was an important figure in the development of Bayern Munich as one of the best clubs in the world. FC Bayern Munich head coach Julian Nagelsmann on Monday paid homage to the contribution made by club legend Gerd Müller, who passed away at the age of 75 on Sunday. The legendary German striker, who scored 365 goals for Bayern in the Bundesliga during the 1960s and 70s, and also scored 68 goals for West Germany in 62 games, was suffering from dementia for the past few years. Mirabai said the amount of love she has received from fellow Indians since her feat last month has left her overwhelmed. It was not like that before Tokyo, but I'm seeing a marked interest in weightlifting for the first time. Star weightlifter Mirabai Chanu has observed a heightened interest in the power sport since her silver medal winning feat at the Tokyo Olympics and expects more women to compete at the highest level in the near future. The sport is a lot about strength and power, but there is no a lot of difference between weightlifting and other sports. I see a lot of youngsters taking up to the sport, especially women, she said. I've received a lot of love from fellow Indians ever since I've come back. This is a big moment for me. To win a medal for India is a dream come true. She also looked back at her disappointing run in Rio 2016 and how she bounced back from that. I made my debut in Rio. I could not win that, though I trained hard like I did for Tokyo. I got blank and nervous in Rio. I came back and worked on my flaws and technique. Neeraj Chopra created history on August 7 as he became the first from the country to win a gold in track and field in the Olympics. He threw the javelin to a distance of 87.58 meters to pick the yellow medal at the Tokyo Games. Indian javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra has gained 14 places to become world number 2 in the latest world rankings after his sensational show in the Tokyo Olympics. The 23-year-old athlete is only behind German athlete Johannes Vetter, who has a 1,396 score as per the latest update issued by World Athletics. Meanwhile, Neeraj has a score of 1,315 in men's javelin throw after his Tokyo Olympics gold. The star athlete's historic golden throw in the Olympics has been listed as one of the 10 magical moments of athletics in the Tokyo Olympics by the World Athletics. Most keen followers of the sport had heard of Neeraj Chopra before the Olympic Games, but after winning the javelin in Tokyo and in the process becoming India's first athletics gold medalist in Olympic history, Chopra's profile skyrocketed. The World Athletics website read, Neeraj had 143,000 followers on Instagram before the Olympics, but now has a staggering 3.2 million, making him the most followed track and field athlete in the world. Still processing his feeling, he recently posted to all of India and beyond. Thank you so much for your support and blessings that have helped me reach this stage. This moment will live with me forever. Six-time Ballon d'Or winner Lionel Messi arrived in France on Tuesday to finalize a transfer to PSG after reaching a deal with the club following his shock departure from Barcelona. Messi's plane touched down at Le Bourget Airport on the outskirts of the French capital, according to reporters at the scene and the Flight Radar 24 website. Scores of fans gathered at the airport before his arrival. It's going to be mad. After all, it's a legend who is arriving, said Florent Chewy, a PSG fan who has been back and forth to the airport every day since Sunday in the hope of seeing Messi arrive. Messi gave no details of the deal, which was reached days after Barcelona said it could not afford to keep him because of Spain's La Liga's fair play rules. But the 34-year-old Argentina midfielder's father, speaking to reporters at Barcelona's airport, confirmed reporters by French newspaper L'Equipe and Spanish newspaper Mundo Deportivo that Messi had reached an agreement with PSG, which is owned by Qatar Sports and Investment. L'Equipe said the deal would be for 2 years. It also said Messi would have medical tests on Tuesday and that a news conference to mark his arrival was likely on Wednesday. Many Barcelona fans were distraught at the end of Messi's glittering trophy-laden career at the club he joined as a schoolboy. But the arrival of Barcelona's all-time record scorer with 682 goals will boost PSG's ambition to win the Champions League for the first time. Messi won 4 Champions League titles while at Barcelona, as well as 10 La Liga titles.
Karnataka launches special drive to test TB in COVID-19 recovered patients. The state have more than 28 lakh people who have recovered from COVID-19. Karnataka Health Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar on Tuesday announced a special TB test drive in the state for people who have recovered from COVID-19 infection. This drive, which will be held till August 31st, is expected to help evaluate post-COVID complications in people who have recovered from the disease. Center responsible for Bengal floods, Didi. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee once again attacked the center for allowing her state to remain perennial victim of what she called man-made floods. The Chief Minister, who on Tuesday made an aerial survey of the flood-hit regions of Ghatal and adjoining parts of West Midnapur, said the state government was not able to do anything about the recurrent flood because of non-cooperation from the center. Rahul's Twitter account logged for flouting guidelines, Twitter tells Delhi High Court. Twitter on Wednesday informed Delhi High Court that Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's Twitter account is locked due to violating their policy by uploading the photos of recently raped and murdered 9-year-old Dalit girl's parents. Twitter was responding to a petition seeking FIR against Rahul Gandhi for allegedly revealing the identity of the Dalit girl. Senior advocate Sajan Puvaya, representing the Twitter, told the court that the tweet by Rahul Gandhi has been removed as it was found to be in violation of the platform's own policy. Coming to the end of the week's news, a reminder of the headlines. Thank you and have a nice day.